Hi everyone, Al the Psych here. I have a quick video for you today for informational purposes only that I've entitled Negative Thinking as a Positive Resilience Building. Okay, so I can remember when I was a kid, I would dream of being someone different, maybe a famous athlete. And I would be myself, but I would be like Sandy Koufax, a pitcher for the Dodgers, or Fred Biletnikoff, a wide receiver for the Oakland Raiders. As I got a little older, I would just think of, maybe having a certain type of car, house, or, having some money, something along those lines. And then as I got older still, I made a change in my thinking. I did kind of like a 180, or at least I added a 180 to my life. Now, I didn't get rid of goals and, using positive imagery and visualization, things like that. But I would sometimes include visualizing negative scenarios in my life. So, for example, maybe being in a job that I hated or being broke, etc. So, what did this do for me? Well, it really helped me appreciate what I have in life. It also helped me learn to tolerate possible scenarios that could happen and in some cases would eventually happen. So sometimes when I was working as a school psychologist and I was frustrated how things were going, maybe I was dealing with angry parents or advocates, and consequently I might be questioning, like, did I make the right life choice here? Then I would think about previous jobs I had, like, for example, when I worked in a factory where sometimes the temperature would be well over 100 degrees. And in fact, in this one section of the factory, I think it got up to like 130, where the hot pans were coming out of this contraption, whatever it was. I'd be stacking these hot pans that came out of the oven. It was the oven basically, and sometimes I get burns all along my arm. What I did is I got socks, cut a hole in them, and then put the socks onto my arms, my forearms, so I protected myself from all the burns and things like that. And during that summer job, I lost 20 pounds, and I didn't have 20 pounds to lose. So when I would think back on that job that I certainly didn't like, it made it easier for me to develop my tolerance for my job as a school psychologist, and how to appreciate it more when I was going through periods where maybe I was facing situations that weren't pleasurable. Okay. Now, when I got much older, I would visualize the likelihood that I would at some point experience, for example, the death of my parents. And as morbid as it may sound, it did help me prepare for their death. So when that actually did happen, it was not so overwhelming. I was just kind of preparing. And when I do visualize events in this way, I make certain that I also see myself tolerating the situation. So that's part of the equation, as opposed to, visualizing it and feeling overwhelmed. Okay, so it's got to be done correctly. And as I looked online about what I was doing, I realized that this is actually a Stoic technique. If any of you are into, Stoicism, Stoic philosophy. I think it's important to have the right frame of mind when doing this visualizing. From a Stoic perspective, I accept that there are some things that I have no control over, and this acceptance lowers, maybe doesn't remove, but lowers the anxiety that could be associated with certain events. And, in the example I gave, the death of my parents. So anyway, this has helped me in terms of developing tolerance and appreciation and developing resilience. So sometimes looking at things, or looking at the negative side of things, or negative things that have happened or could happen, sometimes can be used as a positive. And I've included this in a previous video, but I remember just going to a seminar one time, and the presenter actually talked about when he would go on vacations. A lot of times what he would do is he would pick a place that was just horrific. He would go to some of the worst places that you could think of. Why would he do that? Well, what he said is when he did go to those places on his vacation, when he came back, he felt, much more appreciative of his life scenario as it was. So that helped him really take note of all the little things in life that maybe he was taking for granted. So anyway, I think this is just something to think about, and maybe can be useful for you at some time. And that's it. Thanks.